One of the things that I've learned is that you stick to your rules long enough now. So at first, what might happen is that people might start laughing at you and ridiculing you, calling you crazy and irrelevant, and try to really pull you down to their level. A friend of mine likes to say this: they will pull you down to their level and beat you with experience because that's their level. They've been doing that thing. So that's one thing I learned is that once you start sticking to your rules in your life, people start questioning. People start trying to poke holes, trying to sort of like devalue your rules and try to sway you into their ways. For a very long time, people are gonna try and do that. This could be anything, really. This could be if maybe you always want to sleep at 10 p.m. You want to sleep early every time. It's your rule, right? No one has a right to come and try to change it. If you don't drink, that's your rule. You choose it. You're the lord of your life. If you don't smoke, you don't do drugs, you don't date even, that's your rule. People don't want to try. Why? Why don't you drink, man? Come have a drink. Come have a drink with us. You just told them, right? You told them, no, I don't drink. And they'll be like, no, come and have a drink, man. I remember a colleague of mine, um, this particular individual who doesn't drink went out with colleagues, and one of the colleagues actually bought shots, right, for everyone. And they bought this individual alcoholic shots. Now, they actually went to the waitresses and waiters and lied and said, it's this individual's birthday. So, what happens is that there's a special shot that's brought in for whoever's birthday it is, whoever has a birthday, and then they sing for you, and then you expected to drink the shot. But this individual didn't. They sang for him, and they were like expecting this individual to drink. They didn't drink. And it's people like that I respect, right? People who have clarity. They know exactly what it is they're doing, why they're doing it, and they know what it is they're not doing and why they're not doing it. And that's very important. Whether your rule is that you don't raise your voice when you speak in certain environments, or is that you don't actually give in to your anger. I don't care what your rule is. When you stick to your rule, the people around you, especially early on, they will try and devalue those rules. They'll try and deviate whatever it is that you're trying to do. But then here's the interesting thing is that you stick to your rules long enough and you become, and they become as well, a part of you. People start adapting, you see? People start looking beyond just the rules and really start focusing on who you are. And that speaks volumes, man. It speaks even when it comes to business. When you sell a product, people might start ridiculing you in the early days because of whatever reasons, Maybe the product is just not good enough. Or maybe the product is just not familiar, they prefer familiarity. Or maybe it's just because they just don't know enough, man. They must start ridiculing. But then as the product gains traction and as the product gains, popularity, more and more people will start accepting and adapting to that product or even a service, like it's just how it is with humans. I think um humans really require, or human interaction, let me put it that way, human interaction really requires one, especially someone who wants to lead or who practices leadership in their personal life. First and foremost, it requires you to have a very, very strong backbone. You must have balls. You need to have balls, and you need to actually show your balls. I mean, figuratively, obviously. Because if you're someone who's easily swayed to and for and from, you'll be very confused. You will be very confused because one minute people are saying this, the next they're saying that. That's herd behavior, group behavior. But then if you stick to what you're doing long enough, I promise you, man, people will even nickname you after that. That's when they start accepting that, no, this is who this person is, this is what this person is about. And it's very important. It's very important that you don't bend to the will of the masses. You need to dictate. You need to dictate your narrative. And this is very important for us young people, because I think it's young people who actually don't show a strong backbone. And because unfortunately you have to take leadership in your life. You see, this current system, it has deceived all of us young people by delegating your sense of responsibility to someone else. So for about 15 years, not even 15 years, probably the first 25 years of your life, you don't really deal with actual responsibility for many people. Because from a young age, you go to crash, you go to primary school, secondary school, or high school, and then you go to university, or whatever institution you go to. Even there, you're an adult, man. You're an adult, but you don't take responsibility. Someone else takes care of your responsibilities. You see? And then only then, after the age of 25, 26, now you start to deal with real life. You see, this system has delegated all that responsibility. The life you had to live, you didn't live it. Someone you shifted the responsibility to someone else under the name that I'm a pupil, under the name that I'm a student. But now you become an adult, a young professional. You get there and then nobody cares about you being a young professional or you're being an intern or whatever. You have to deal with reality, man. This is real life. These people have families to feed. They've got kids to take care of. They don't have time to be nursing your feelings. And you start feeling like, hey, life is unfair and all that. So what? Who cares that life is unfair? Who cares? Hmm? Going back to my first point, stick to your rules. Dictate what goes on in your life, including in those years, high school, university, college, whatever. Dictate what goes on in your life, because once you get dumbed down by this system, that by the time you become like a young adult, you're pretty much useless. You're very much useless. You think the world revolves around you when the world actually doesn't revolve around you, and you think you're special just because you exist. Hmm, I think not. You have to take charge from an early age. And I think this also ties in with the concept of instant gratification and delayed or deferred gratification, right? Starting with instant gratification, I think people have spoken about it a lot, but I mean, speaking about it doesn't really, 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 do it justice. But I think having gone through it, it's something that's very important to talk about. Instant gratification really is a belief more than anything, and it's manifested in behavior. It's a belief that, I want it, let me have it. And sometimes it could be because you're used to that, right? You're used to having things that you want, whether they're given to you or you work for them. For example, in high school, okay, if I want an 80% mark for maths, I have to study this amount of hours. At university, it might not be the same, but because you're so used to that, I want this, I can do it, and I want to do it quickly. You get to university, you're like, those 8 hours a week no longer work now. Maybe I need to do 16. Maybe I need to do, maybe it's not about the hours. Maybe I need to go and ask for help. So now the problems you face need a different set of skills now that you were never prepared or even told about. The problems you face now are no longer about just going to the room and studying all the time. Sometimes you might need to speak to a professional. Sometimes you might go and need to talk to other students and see how they view this. Sometimes there's a language barrier. Now problems are becoming a little bit more realistic. You see, there's no formula, there's no one size fits all. So that little bubble and delusion of instant gratification gets burst. It bursts, and then you're left all alone. And for a lot of young people who have not had a backbone, who have been, moving back and forth because of other people's opinions, in those spaces, you get broken down, you start melting, and you start, losing it. Because this generation is so used, we are this generation, so used to getting things done the way we want them now. And it's not just about school, man. Even like cars, you want a car, you want it now, man. I want it this year. I don't care what my credit score is. I don't care if there's something else a little bit more important. I'm not even gonna do research on what's the best thing to invest my money in. I want a car, man, and it has to have a sunroof. You go and get that car, you pay 7,000 rand a month, and it takes about 70% of your salary, your net salary. So you're left with 30% now. You have to fumble and buy food, and you'll struggle to get petrol money. You see now, it starts. The real world starts weighing on your shoulders. And the root is that instant gratification. Because you wanted a car and you wanted it now. No, I want to go and live in this nice area and I want to do it now. We could do it in 5 years' time. You could still go there. In 7 years' time, you could still go there. Next year, you could still go. But you want to do it this year because it has to happen. It's what everyone is doing. Instant gratification. So I learned that it causes really unnecessary pain, pain that could have been avoided by just actually chilling out, man, and really just appreciating the moment. Because it really is about the moment. It's about the journey, not the destination. It's about the outcome. But the process that gets to the outcome is even more important. The process that gets to the outcome is even more important. For example, man, like 500 years ago, you wanted to eat, but you needed to plant first and then take care of that plant in its life cycle until harvest time came. Yes, the goal is to eat, but actually growing that plant, watering it, planting it is as important as it is to actually consume the item. It's the same idea. It's the same idea. But because everything is so materialistic, I think we start to really prioritize things that don't really matter, and the things that matter, the moment, the relationships that could have been formed in the process, the years you spend at university, you spend 4 years at university, and you don't even have like 10 solid relationships that you formed. You have that paper though, but then you don't know how to handle relationships. You have that paper, you don't know how to handle stress. You have that paper, you don't know how to manage expectations. You have that paper, you didn't even work on your leadership skills. You don't even know your leadership style. You have that piece of paper called the certificate, the degree, but then you forgot the process. So I think I had an epiphany when I was in my second year, where I actually realized that, you know what? In reality, for some of these professions that we're looking for, you don't even have to go to varsity, man. Yes, you might have to study and pay something else in the private side of things, but you don't really have to go to varsity. So when I realized that, I was like, you know what? Let me use this space to form relationships. That was one of the most important things. But also let me use this space to sharpen my communication skills. Let me use this space to really understand who I am. Let me use this space to make sure I get involved in as many societies and groups and organizations as possible. Let me use this space to sharpen my leadership skills. I literally did that. I went to book launches. I went to seminars. I went to public dialogues. I went to like all sorts of different, workshops that were available freely available, so that I could develop this skill, so that by the time I get out of this place, I'm competent in the international market. That's always been my vision. In the international market, I'm competent. So when I get put in an office space, I can hold my own, man. I can hold a conversation with the CEO and the general manager. And a lot of people, although they have really good degrees, a degree in Bachelor of Science and specializing in chemical engineering, when you speak to them, it's like you're speaking to a toddler. It's like it's because they didn't enjoy the moment, the process. They focused only on the outcome. The outcome is important, but then the process of getting to the outcome is even more important, because then you can repeat the process, you can modify the process, you can improve the process and produce other outcomes. But then if you only focus on the outcome, then you're missing out on the important parts. When you walk down the street, see that homeless guy, you want to talk to that person. Not everyone. I'm not saying talk to every homeless person, but then don't miss the moment if it presents itself. You go to buy the shop, speak to the cashier, man. Smile at the cashier, make them smile. I do it almost naturally now. I promise you, I do. Trust me, I do. Trust me, I speak to the Keishas and I make it pleasant. Obviously, I'm not saying every Keisha you see out there you need to speak to them, but where there's an opportunity, talk to people. Talk to people. You don't know how much it might mean to them. Delayed gratification. It's actually the opposite of instant gratification. So instead of focusing on the now, with delayed gratification, what you're saying is that no, I can still get this, right? I can get it now, but I can get it even better later. I'm gonna focus on the process now, and then the process is gonna prepare me holistically to be able to handle this for the long run. And I think that's the most important thing about delayed gratification. It's not just about the outcome, but it's about how developed you become in the process of obtaining the outcome, right? People jump into marriages, they get married because they can. But they don't check whether they're ready. They don't check whether they actually need to, whether they want to, and all sorts of contingencies. But because they can, they do it. And then 4 years later, they're both divorced and bitter, way bitter than before. Was it wrong? Was it right? I'm not the one to decide. But what I'm saying is, maybe if some due diligence had been done, a little bit, slower pace had been employed, perhaps they would have moved differently. Delayed gratification, which means you delay your pleasure, you delay your excitement, you delay your satisfaction for a later period in time where you have more appreciation for the process because you were involved and you became a part of it. Enjoy the process. It might take 5 years to establish your vision. It might take 10. It might take 1 year. It might take 6 months. But it's the process. Instant things are not going to help us, guys. You're not going to build something long term instantly. It's just not going to work. Scientifically, it's not going to work. You need to do the hard work. And it seems like our generation, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do the hard work. That's why people end up pimping themselves, man. That's why people go and do these things. Onlyfans, strip chat. They'd rather strip than actually spend hours at night grinding. Spend weekends, weekdays, everything, grinding every day for 3 years, 6 years, 7 years. Nah, people are not gonna do that. So they'd rather go and twerk and go do OnlyFans and scam people using forex and other arguably legit business ventures. They'd rather go and scam people than to actually put in the hard work. And it's all because of instant gratification. So three things: stick to your story, man. Forget about instant gratification, and maybe employ. Let's employ delayed gratification, the things we do, whilst aligning with our values. Peace.